Here comes Angel Reese coming down the lane, blocked by Brittany Griner. You know it's bad when you making Brittany Griner look good. Blocked by Brittany Griner. Okay, what we gonna do this time? Uh-oh, here we go, going down the lane. Oh, man, another missed layup. Another missed layup. Here comes Angel Reese. Here we go, posting up, get in the lane, smokes the layup. Oh my God, can you make a layup? Here
3 for 13 from the field, 8 points, multiple missed layups, airballed 3-pointers that didn't even graze the rim, and a headbutt that got an opponent ejected while she walked back on defense like she was taking a Sunday stroll. What you just watched is Angel Reese's performance against the Phoenix Mercury on August 18th, 2024, and here's what nobody wants to talk about. This wasn't an anomaly, this was a pattern. Because while the entire basketball world obsesses over every single missed shot Caitlin Clark takes, dissecting her performances like it's the Zapruder film, Angel Reese can put up a 28% shooting performance over 3 games and crickets. Absolute silence from the same people who were screaming about Rookie of the Year comparisons just 2 months ago. So somebody's gotta do it. Somebody has to apply the same standard of scrutiny that gets applied to Clark every single night. And what that scrutiny reveals is uncomfortable for a lot of people who've invested heavily in a narrative that's been crumbling for weeks.
Another quick.
You damn near knocked the screw out the rim on this one here. I mean, oh, okay, here we go. Get in the lane, smokes a layup. I mean, Jesus. I mean, come on, uh-oh, here she go. Just throw out, what was that? What was that? You got the ball here. Kick it out. Kick it out. Why? Look, you don't even have your feet under you. You just throw it. Like, why would you shoot this? Explain that to me. You got to explain this to me. From this position, why would you shoot that ball up at the rim? Come on, man. Come on, man. Why would you shoot?
Let's start with the shooting, because that's where this gets genuinely concerning. Over her last 3 games heading into late August, Angel Reese shot 28% from the field. Not 28% from 3-point range, which would be bad enough for someone attempting perimeter shots. 28% from the field overall, and here's what makes that number absolutely damning. The vast majority of her shot attempts are layups. She's not pulling up from mid-range. She's not taking contested jumpers. She's getting the ball within 5 feet of the basket and missing. Repeatedly. When you watch the tape, and we just saw multiple examples, it's not like she's getting great looks and just having an off night. She's forcing shots through traffic, throwing up wild attempts with defenders draped all over her, and refusing to kick the ball out to open teammates on the perimeter. That's not bad luck. That's bad decision making combined with a fundamental shooting touch problem that's been evident since her LSU days, but got masked by the double-double streak narrative.
But yet, we got to get to the head, but look at this. Angel Reese down there, you lose the ball. Aaliyah Edwards gets a flagrant foul on this. This is Aaliyah Edwards. She's called for a flagrant foul. Look at this. She got headbutt for a flagrant foul. That is nuts. First of all, throw the ball out. Once again, kick it out. You are forcing shots up at the rim. Look at it. She got headbutt, and then she talked crazy to her, standing over her.
Now let's talk about that play specifically, because it encapsulates everything wrong with how this game unfolded for Chicago. Aaliyah Edwards gets called for a flagrant foul after what is clearly an inadvertent head-to-head collision. Watch the replay closely. Reese is driving to the basket, forcing yet another contested layup attempt instead of recognizing the help defense and kicking out. Edwards is rotating over to provide that help defense, which is exactly what she's supposed to do. They collide, heads knock together, and Edwards gets ejected from the game for what was a basketball play. But here's the part that should raise eyebrows. After the collision, after getting the benefit of a flagrant foul call that removes a key defender from the game, Reese still doesn't make the shot. And then instead of getting back on defense as Phoenix pushes in transition, she's standing at the free throw line arguing with the officials while her team is playing 4-on-5 at the other end. That's not rookie mistakes, that's veteran level selfishness.
Walk in. Now she didn't get back, and she gets a throw ahead lay in. Oh, she didn't even score that one. I mean, damn, that was before the head, but I mean, this is nuts. This is nuts at this point. Angel Reese, you got to tighten up. You got to tighten up. I know y'all gonna be mad. Y'all can be mad all you want. You could be mad all you want. Y'all love to point out anytime Caitlin don't have a great game. Let's take a look at Angel Reese stats over the last 3 games. Angel Reese, 12 points, 15 rebounds, double-double. You got your double-doubles. Okay.
The three-point shooting is almost comical at this point, and I say that with no joy because it's genuinely hard to watch. 20% from 3 over that 3-game stretch. But it's not just the percentage, it's the shot selection. It's the complete lack of self-awareness about what shots she should and shouldn't be taking. There's a clip in this game where she pulls up for a three-pointer, completely off balance with her feet not set, and the ball doesn't just miss. It doesn't just clank off the front rim. It legitimately doesn't hit anything. Complete airball. And this is after her coach, Teresa Weatherspoon, had already publicly called her out following the previous game for not kicking the ball out and forcing bad shots. When your coach is diplomatically telling the media that the team needs to protect the paint and make opponents score from the perimeter, that's coach speak for my power forward needs to stop taking terrible shots. But the message clearly didn't get through because here we are again watching the exact same problems manifest in the exact same ways.
Don't shoot threes. If you're shooting 67% from the free throw line, you shouldn't be shooting threes. But hey, double-double, as they say. That's all that matters. I think it is embarrassing that this girl was ever compared to Caitlin Clark. I think Angel Reese is a quality role player, a great rebounder, a good defender, but we got to keep it real. This girl should have never been compared to no damn Caitlin Clark. Y'all was sniffing glue. Y'all was sniffing paint. I don't know what y'all was doing, ever thinking this was a real conversation. She's headbutting people. She's knocking people to the floor. She's missing layups left and right. She's airballing threes. Bricking 3. I mean, come on.
Here's where this gets into uncomfortable territory that needs to be addressed head on. The double-double streak that Angel Reese put together was genuinely impressive from a rebounding perspective. 15 rebounds in this game against Phoenix. That's not nothing. She's an elite rebounder, possibly the best offensive rebounder in the WNBA right now. That skill is valuable. That skill will keep her in this league for a long time. But we have to be honest about what that double-double streak actually represented. When you're shooting 28% from the field, you're creating a lot of your own rebounding opportunities. Miss a layup, grab your own miss, put it back up, miss again, grab it again. That counts as multiple rebounds, but it's not actually efficient basketball. It's not winning basketball, and the Sky's record during this stretch proves it. They won 2 out of their last 7 or 8 games during this period. The double-doubles looked great in the box score. They made for nice social media graphics, but they didn't translate to team success, and at some point, we have to acknowledge that individual statistics divorced from winning are just empty calories.
Any open looks at threes to shooters, but we knew we wanted to give help anytime they got an advantage to the rim, and you know, most of our talks were about what we wanted to do defensively, and I thought we did a good job.
In the second quarter, things started getting a little bit more physical. How did you and teams have really kill that instant over? Because really, things after that, things sort of went the opposite way into the temperature of the game really cooled down.
Yeah, I think, you know, everybody got to sit down and manage their emotions so that things didn't get out of hand and got back to just playing basketball and working on.
Let's contrast this with how the media treats comparable performances from other rookies, because that's where the double standard becomes impossible to ignore. When Caitlin Clark has an off-shooting night, when she goes 5 for 15 or 6 for 17, it becomes a national news story. ESPN runs segments about it. Social media explodes with criticism. Every talking head in sports media has an opinion about what it means for her Rookie of the Year campaign, for the Fever's playoff chances, for the future of women's basketball. And you know what? That scrutiny is fair. She's the most high-profile player in the league. She commands the biggest audience. With that platform comes heightened expectations and heightened criticism. That's how sports work. But if we're going to apply that standard to Clark, we have to apply it across the board. Olivia Miles goes 2 for 13 with 3 turnovers. That deserves the same analysis. Paige Bueckers has a rough shooting night in college. Same treatment. And Angel Reese shoots 28% over 3 games while her team loses? That absolutely deserves the same level of critical examination.
I thought Rye was fantastic in the first half, in particular, just really, really good. Just had it going. And I thought Leash, you know, she had her moments in the first half, and then that continued on in the second half. Just both of them just had outstanding games. And then, Angel was dominant on the boards, and we got some good contributions from others as well.
We'll go to Emmanuel Glaze. Go ahead, Emmanuel.
Coach, I asked Ryan, doesn't want to ask you the same. Which do you feel contributed the most tomorrow for each other? Was it the defense that led to the offensive, scoring what they did, or was it the offensive that got the defense going? Which one did you see? And I guess which one of you did you notice making the most effort?
Phoenix's defensive game plan in this matchup was textbook, and Teresa Weatherspoon actually spelled it out pretty clearly in her post-game comments. They wanted to protect the paint, force Chicago to beat them from the perimeter, and provide help defense anytime someone attacked the rim. For a team like the Sky, which struggles with consistent outside shooting, that's a nightmare matchup, and Reese played right into it. Instead of recognizing the defensive scheme and adjusting, she kept trying to force her way to the basket through multiple defenders. She kept taking contested shots instead of trusting her teammates to knock down open looks from the outside. Weatherspoon mentioned that Phoenix was willing to give up some mid-range and that they didn't want to give up any open looks at threes to the shooters. Translation, they were begging Chicago to make the simple play, kick the ball out, move it around, and find the open shooter. Chicago, and specifically Reese, refused to do that. And the result was exactly what Phoenix wanted, a Sky team that scored just enough to keep it somewhat competitive, but never enough to actually threaten.
Go ahead, Wilton.
Coach, two questions for you. The first, obviously, multiple 100-point games in the last two games. Is there anything that you're seeing like structurally different in the offense in the last two that makes you kind of believe that this is beginning to raise the floor rather than just two hot shooting nights?
Well, we're running the same offense, and I would say getting similar quality of shots. I just think that the players are in a better rhythm right now shooting the ball, and that makes a big difference. And the more they get spread out, having to get out to shooters, there's more room for other people to attack, and it's easier to score in the paint.
And then my final question for you, obviously you guys 21-12 currently in
Now, Weatherspoon did what good coaches do in these situations. She protected her player publicly while sending a message that anyone paying attention could decode. She praised the defensive effort. She highlighted the rebounding. She talked about Angel being dominant on the boards. All of that is true, and all of that needed to be said to maintain team chemistry and not completely destroy a rookie's confidence in front of the media. But listen to what she didn't say. She didn't praise the shot selection. She didn't talk about offensive efficiency. She didn't mention anything about the decision-making in crucial moments. And when the reporter asked specifically about what contributed most to the win for Phoenix, whether it was their offense or their defense, Weatherspoon pivoted immediately to talking about Phoenix's defensive positioning and how Chicago was fortunate they missed some layups early. That's not a compliment to her own team. That's an acknowledgement that Chicago's offense, and by extension Reese's offensive performance, wasn't good enough, and that they got lucky Phoenix didn't blow them out worse.
with a big game like Indiana coming up on Sunday, does Sunday's game kind of begin to feel like more than just another regular season matchup? And how do you look at it in terms of like looking at potential playoff implications?
Well, I mean, it's two teams that are in the mix there. So the game obviously has a great deal of importance because so many teams are bunched within like 2 games. So whoever plays the best down the stretch is probably going to be able to host a playoff series, and I do think that's an advantage. So, it is a big game. Indiana's playing really well right now, and I think we're playing pretty well too, so it should be a great.
The comparison to Caitlin Clark isn't just inevitable at this point. It's necessary to understand how we got here and why the narrative around these two players has shifted so dramatically from where it was in April and May. Back during the college season and heading into the draft, there was a genuine debate about who was the better player, who would have more immediate impact, who deserved Rookie of the Year consideration. That debate was always somewhat forced, driven more by the desire to create a rivalry narrative than by actual on-court evidence, but it existed. Fast forward to late August, and it's not even close. Clark is averaging over 18 points and 8 assists per game. She's running an offense, making her teammates better, and leading the Fever toward a legitimate playoff berth in what was supposed to be a rebuilding year. Reese is averaging a double-double built largely on offensive rebounds from her own missed shots, shooting under 40% from the field for the season, and playing for a team that's struggling to stay above .500. One of these players is transforming her franchise. The other is putting up stats that look impressive in a vacuum but don't translate to winning basketball.
Angel Reese with an all-out stinker. Once again, 3 for 13. Can't make a layup. Headbutting people. Headbutting people. You need to put on a helmet when Dejanay Carrington or Angel Reese is around because they headbutting, they clotheslining, they doing all types of stuff. And we got to get into it. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel, hit the bell notification, hype the video. That'd be greatly appreciated. We got to get into the Angel Reese stinker. I got to keep it real. Somebody's got to do it. Angel Reese, 8 points on 3 of 13 shooting, 2 turnovers, 0 of 2 from 3, 2 of 4.
And this is the fundamental point that gets lost in all the social media debates and the hot takes and the tribalism that's infected WNBA discourse this season. Nobody is saying Angel Reese is a bad basketball player. Nobody is saying she doesn't belong in the league or that she can't contribute to a winning team. What we're saying, what the actual evidence clearly demonstrates, is that she should never have been mentioned in the same breath as Caitlin Clark as a prospect or as a rookie. The skill gaps are enormous. The basketball IQ difference is massive. The impact on winning is not even comparable. Reese is a role player with elite rebounding skills who can be a valuable piece on a championship team if she's deployed correctly and if her limitations are schemed around. Clark is a generational offensive talent who can be the best player on a championship team and who makes everyone around her significantly better. Those are not the same tier of player, and pretending they ever were does a disservice to both of them. It creates unfair expectations for Reese, who gets judged against a standard she was never going to meet, and it diminishes Clark's accomplishments by suggesting there was ever any real debate about who the better player was. The defensive effort, or lack thereof, on that one possession we highlighted earlier is particularly damning because it reveals something about mentality and basketball maturity. After committing a turnover in the post, Reese just stops. She doesn't sprint back. She doesn't communicate to her teammates about the numbers disadvantage. She just walks, almost casually, while Phoenix is pushing the ball up the floor in transition. Now, every player has moments like this occasionally. Even the best defenders in the league will sometimes get caught ball watching or slow to transition. But this wasn't a one-time lapse. This has been a pattern throughout the season, and it's the kind of thing that drives coaches absolutely insane because it's not about talent or skill. It's about effort and awareness. You don't need to be a great athlete to get back on defense. You just need to care enough to run. And in that moment, Reese clearly didn't care enough, which is inexcusable for a player who's supposed to be competing for Rookie of the Year and trying to lead her team to the playoffs. The free throw shooting is another red flag that doesn't get discussed enough. 67% from the free throw line over this 3-game stretch. For a post player, that's below average but not disastrous. But here's the thing, if you can't shoot 67% from the free throw line, you have no business attempting 3-pointers in game situations. None. The free throw is a stationary shot with no defense, perfect mechanics, and all the time in the world. If you can't consistently make that shot at a high percentage, your shooting mechanics are fundamentally flawed, and attempting shots from 23 feet away is just ego-driven nonsense that hurts your team. This isn't controversial. This is basic basketball logic that's been true since the invention of the sport. Yet Reese continues to pull up for threes, continues to brick them at a 20% clip, and continues to act surprised when they don't go in. At some point, either the coaching staff needs to explicitly tell her to stop taking those shots, or she needs to develop enough self-awareness to recognize that this isn't her game and probably never will be. The headbutt incident with Aaliyah Edwards deserves more scrutiny than it's gotten, not because of the collision itself, which was clearly accidental, but because of the pattern it represents. This is the second time in recent weeks that Reese has been involved in a physical altercation that resulted in an opponent getting ejected or suspended. The Kennedy Carter situation with Caitlin Clark, where Reese was on the bench celebrating a cheap shot, and now this incident where Edwards gets tossed for a flagrant foul on what was really just an unfortunate collision during a normal basketball play. Now, Reese didn't cause the Edwards ejection directly. The officials made that call, and it was probably the wrong call given the circumstances. But there's something about the way Reese plays, the physicality she brings, the way she lowers her shoulder and initiates contact, that creates these situations. And at a certain point, you have to ask whether that style of play is actually helping her team or whether it's creating unnecessary drama and putting opponents in positions where they have to defend more aggressively than they otherwise would. The shooting mechanics are genuinely concerning for anyone who wants to see Reese develop into a complete player. Watch her form on those three-point attempts. There's no consistency. Sometimes she's jumping forward, sometimes she's fading away. Sometimes her feet aren't set at all, and she's just flinging the ball toward the rim like she's playing HORSE in a driveway. Elite shooters have repeatable mechanics. Every shot looks the same, the footwork is identical, the release point is identical, the follow-through is identical. Reese's shots look different every single time, which tells you she hasn't put in the thousands of hours of repetition necessary to develop muscle memory. And that's fine if you're content being a rebounding specialist who scores exclusively on putbacks and the occasional post-up. But if you have aspirations of being an all-star, of being a complete offensive player, of being someone defenses have to account for in multiple ways, you have to be able to shoot. And right now, Reese can't shoot. Not from three, not consistently from mid-range. And based on that 28% field goal percentage, not even from point-blank range. The Sky's overall record during this stretch is the most damning evidence that Reese's individual statistics aren't translating to team success. 2 wins out of 7 or 8 games, that's a losing team. That's a team that's going to miss the playoffs or get bounced in the first round if they do make it. And you can't blame all of that on Reese. Basketball is a team sport. There are 12 players on the roster and only 5 on the court at any given time. But when you're the player getting the most attention, when you're the one with the double-double streak and the social media following and the endorsement deals, you bear some responsibility for the team's performance. And the reality is that Reese's style of play, the ball stopping, the forced shots, the refusal to kick out to open shooters, is actively hurting the Sky's offensive efficiency. They'd be better served with a player who scored 8 points on 5 shots.